They could grow, but more growth means attack on their calendar, attack on their personal life, attack on literally just not even doing the thing that they started to do that they wanted to do more of, right? They end up being everybody else does the fun stuff and they do all the not fun stuff. So the premise of the book is essentially the philosophy that if you're doing anything that you could pay somebody else to do for equal or less than your buyback rate, which is a very simple formula I teach in the book, then you're technically working against yourself to grow and or create a life that you love.
Big news, my third book, #1 on Amazon in business, the pre-sale, Do It, The Life-Changing Power of Taking Action, is coming out April 4th worldwide. It's available on pre-sale, and if you buy it on Amazon, on Barnes & Nobles, wherever books are sold, let me know because I want to send you a special gift. So if you buy this book, Do It, The Life-Changing Power of Taking Action, not only will you have the most immersive, in-depth, introspective book ever put together on taking action. This is 3 years in the making of myself doing research, studies, surveys. The overview, 40,000 foot, just think Atomic Habits meets the Enneagram with crazy cool Malcolm Gladwell type stories from figures in history who changed the world. There's 9 types of action archetypes, 9 types of these things that we have that we can resonate with of why we are holding ourselves back from taking action. Everybody has something that they want to do, and there's something that is stopping them. These 9 action archetypes are the allodaxophobic, fear of other people's opinions, the burn, the inopportune, the blamer, the test believer, the perfectionist, the scarcist, the distracted, and the underestimator. And you will learn which one that you are and how to overcome this and take action. April 4th, Do It, The Life-Changing Power of Taking Action. Let me know if you buy this and I will send you a gift. Before we dive into this incredible episode that you are about to hear on the David Nurse Show, I just wanted to say a special thank you for being a listener, for tuning in. You could be anywhere else in the world right now and you are with me listening. And I also want to ask you, if you find value out of this episode, out of any of the episodes, to share it with a friend, share it with a family member. Somebody needs this, and you can be the person that changes their life. And also, if you could, it takes about 12 seconds in total to leave a review for the podcast. Go to Apple, the podcast app, and leave a review. 5-star if you love it. You choose, write a review. Let me know if you leave a review, and I will shout you out. I will give you a gift. I will have a conversation with you. I'd love to hear from you if you are listening to this podcast. So go to the Apple Podcast app, leave a review, because it helps people that are searching podcasts, that are trying to find something of optimization, mindset development, and we will pop up as the top podcast. So you're also helping others by leaving a review and subscribing. Also, the show is on YouTube. If you want to watch me talk to the guest, you can watch it on YouTube, David Nurse channel. All right, now, time for the show. You are about to get your mind blown. Dan Martell, welcome to the David Nurse Show, coming to us live from the great North. I'm a big Canada fan, as we talked about Toronto Raptors. I have a little relation there. But let's get the record straight, Dan. I'm a little bit skeptical on Tim Hortons. Are you a Hortons guy, or are you like, it's actually burnt coffee?
I think Tim Hortons coffee tastes like ashtrays. And fun fact, my wife loves it, and she makes me, that's her love language is acts of service. And if I want to make my wife happy, I buy her a large regular, and that does the trick. I cannot understand why she drinks that stuff.
Wow. Well, you know what? I mean, you figured out her love language, bad coffee. Sounds like you have an amazing wife. She's going to love you no matter what. Smart.
She's gonna be happy I shared that on a podcast.
There you go. I was going to ask you to start us off with a bang, something that people don't necessarily know about you, Dan. They know you started
many businesses. You've been extremely successful in that world. You've written a great book, Buy Back Your Time, and have great concepts we'll talk about of how you buy back your time. You hit Wall Street Journal #2. All of this success. You've had that. You have had that. You will continue to have that. But what's something a little bit different that stands out, Dan?
I think people would be surprised to know that when I watch TV, which is rare-ish, I watch reality TV, specifically Real Housewives.
Oh, come on.
I know.
Hey, that's cool. Dan, are you a Teddy Mellencamp fan? Are you a Teddy Mellencamp fan?
I'm a fan of Teddy Mellencamp, and I think her husband, I was at an event, actually Ed Milet's event, and he was there. I forget his name, but
Edwin.
Yeah, Edwin. I am definitely like a Beverly Hills Real Housewives fan. And then I've watched them all. Like, I mean, literally there's probably several, but yeah, I think when I watch TV, I just want my brain to turn off and just like not have to think and go into like no thinking mode. And that show does the trick for me.
Yeah, that's funny you say that, man. That's probably mine too. I watch a lot of reality dating shows with my wife. Like we'll even watch ones from Brazil, Japan, Married Before You See Each Other, Married Before You Even Know of Each Other, all these kind of random ones. So I'm glad you're on the reality bandwagon with me, brother. But yes,
cool.
Eddie and Edwin are phenomenal people. Okay, so we're going to talk about taking action and the action archetypes of why people don't take action in their life. You have mastered the art of taking action. But before you got there, was there something in your life that was holding you back? Was one of these fear of other people's opinions, burnt by the past, maybe the scarcity mindset, distracted? There's 9 different reasons people hold themselves back. Any of them resonate with you in your past or where you currently are in your life today?
I think it was the first one. I don't know how to pronounce it. You corrected me earlier.
Allodaxophobia.
That's the fear of other people's opinion.
Correct.
That's got to be the biggest one. I'll tell you a real story. I was fortunate enough to make my first million when I was like 27. Sold my company when I was 28, so became a multimillionaire. I drove an old car and lived with roommates in an apartment until I was 31. And it wasn't even after, my wife and I gave myself permission because I had this fear at being Canadian. Like you just, I never wore fancy watches. I wasn't that guy. I honestly didn't want people to know I had money. And I think a lot of it was just fear of what that meant and having to live up to a perception of what I thought that meant and not wanting to make people feel uncomfortable around me. And the funny story is I decided after literally doing work with, a mindset coach, that I was going to buy my orange McLaren, like that I was going to give myself permission to drive a bright orange supercar. And even in that process, I was going back and forth with the dealership and doing a spec and all this stuff. And I have the email thread where I said, well, let's go with the dark gray. Not the orange McLaren. Like there's literally the McLaren orange is a color, right? Like a Ferrari's red. And that was the one I wanted. And there was an email where I was like, no, let's go with the dark gray. And then they wrote back and they said, are you sure? And I slept on it. I woke up next morning. And I said, F that, orange all the way, put the order in, go. And because I almost had a moment of weakness. So I think that's been true at every level. Like even my current journey now with the book, like I never sought out to be somebody that was considered a thought leader or well-known. I just I'm a business builder. And, I realized that over time, the more influence I have, and the more people I can support, the more I can do. So there's a direct correlation between having an audience and being, as my friends, they literally asked me, they're like, what's it like to be a guy? And I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, you're a guy on the internet. You're a guru. And I'm like, well, I've never called myself that. So let's stop that real quick. But, but they're like, just, somebody that puts stuff out on the internet. Like you literally publish content every week and every day. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And there was a point when I was scared to Jesus to do that because I was worried that I used to have all these crazy phobias of like, what if I said the wrong facts in a story and somebody like nails me in the comments? Or, what if like I had all this stuff, but it's even a today thing, David. Like I still think, well, I know that I could be playing a bigger game if I had zero of that. And it's a fine edge to figure out like whose opinions matter. That's a key thing. And that's how I've starting to resolve that. And then rewiring the meaning in the stories that I tell myself about this so that I can play a bigger game and not feel like it's heavy, if that makes sense.
That feeling when you are just recharged, you don't have any sickness, no ailments, you have full optimal energy, you are functioning at your highest level. You want to recreate that? Yeah, sure, you do, I do, we all do. And then you can times it by 10. What I'm about to tell you is going to blow your mind. So hold on here. This is real. Hyperbaric chamber. If you don't know what it is, look it up right now. Look up Eleve Health. ELEVE health.com. It's an oxygen miracle. What it is, HBOT, the hyperbaric chamber. It's a simple and non-invasive therapy where you go into this. It places a body in a pressurized environment that allows extra oxygen to dissolve in the blood plasma and travel freely throughout your circulatory system, getting more red blood cells flowing naturally to the body's function. It's going to help you kill off any harmful bacteria. It's going to help you detox, increase your oxygen concentration, resist and fight infection, heal wounds faster, improve oxygen supply, reduce swelling, stop infection, lower inflammation, all while you're relaxing in the chamber. I kid you not. This is what the pros, the top Olympic athletes, what everybody uses for the highest optimization recovery. This is called Hyperbaric Chamber, HBOT, from Eleve Health, ELEVE health.com. Message me separately, too, if you want to get a specific deal on this. Check it out as you're a sports team, if you're an individual, if you're just somebody who loves optimization. It will be an absolute life changer for you.
Totally. So in playing a bigger game, now your bigger game is different than a lot of people's bigger game, but everybody wants to play a bigger game. And you have transcended into writing books as well, buy back your time. So I think it's a really interesting thought here of your biggest action archetype is the fear of other people's opinions, but yet in buy back your time, that is a lot of shedding other people's opinions because you're going against the narrative of what society says is work, 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 work. But you're like, no. And you even told me that before. Like, dude, yeah, July and August, I'm chilling, man. I'm on the lake. Like, why wouldn't I be? So how do you overcome fear of other people's opinions and buy back your time without worrying about the hustle, hustle, hustle culture that we live in?
Yeah, I think there's a bunch of different ways to hit it because I've been coaching people on this specific topic. I've seen it all, right? From the fear of my mother-in-law's thoughts, or I don't want my neighbor to think I'm too busy in my business to take care of my kids by having a cleaning lady in my driveway, to, I'm going to reply to all my own emails because I don't want people to think that I'm too cool for them, or, all this stuff. For me, I think like the pattern that continues to be true to help me push forward is I have to reset the people's opinion that I care about, which I kind of hinted on. Right. So like our mutual friend, Ed Milet, is somebody I coach with. So he's my coach. And, so having somebody like Ed as a filter for me when I'm making decisions, say, what would Ed think? Not what would my neighbor think? Because I don't want the life of my neighbor, right? Like they're beautiful people and they're incredible, but I'm trying to create something completely different. So I think it's choosing those people, whether they're in your life or not, even virtually or just through social. You might think of like, what would David think of this? If I'm an author, you've written 2 books, you've got the third one. Like I would, as it pertains to book stuff, I would think that to myself. And then it's also like having a big enough why. Like I talk about this, and I think it's chapter 13, achieve bigger, or dream bigger, achieve bigger, because I learned a long time ago that adding zeros to things just helps me change the paradigm. So what I mean by that is, 10xing is actually easier than 2xing, because if you actually ask yourself, how can I do 10 times more than I'm doing today? You'll immediately come to the answer of, well, I have to fundamentally change the way I do things. Like, it's not more of the thing you're doing, it's a complete shift in the paradigm. So those would be the two specific things I would encourage people to consider: is choose better people's opinion to to care about, and then also push yourself to dream bigger than what feels comfortable, because it might crack you open to seek or discover a new way of looking at the world that might serve you better.
It's good. Two really good answers. So are you saying with Ed, who is an incredible coach, incredible human being, who we both know well, were you saying with him you are seeking wisdom from the wise? Is that why you are saying, hey, I value Ed's opinion more than I might my mother-in-law, because Ed understands business, Ed understands books? So is that what you're saying in terms of, hey, I'm going to seek wisdom from people who have been there before and done it?
So wise could have been an interesting language, because I think a lot of people would consider grandparents wise, but to me, it's the person has achieved the aspects, and it could be just one aspect, but Ed has achieved an incredible career, influence. He's got one of the top podcasts. He's obviously an incredible author, and his book's amazing. So absolutely. I that's how I do. I mean, even my fitness journey, or my Ironman stuff, right? So I couldn't swim 4 years ago, decided to do Ironman, and my coach has done 27 Kona appearances. He's one of the top men over 50 in his category. That was my coach. I that's just how I try to live my life now, because it's faster, right?
Yeah, and you skip a lot of hurdles that you might hit by trying to do it on your own, as opposed to saying, well, who's the best in the field that I want to become the best in? Well, let me just talk to them, get coached by them, study them, learn them. You can get a free education on YouTube nowadays. I tell people that. You do not have to, try to reinvent the wheel yourself. Just go to the wise. And you said wise with grandparents. Wise and old are not the same thing. Wise and experience is what you want to go for. That's great, man. So I love those answers. Those are very actionable items to do, for sure, for people to hear. What is your bigger game, Dan? What is the thing okay, let's also talk about 4 years ago that you weren't able to swim. So I want to know, we'll start with that first, and then we'll get to the bigger game, okay? How did you take action over that fear? I can't swim, yet I want to become an Ironman athlete.
Full distance Ironmaner. Yeah.
It's crazy to say.
Well, two things. Step one was, I just want to learn how to swim 650 meters, which is a sprint triathlon, right? I didn't actually wake up saying I'm going to do an Ironman. So, the goal I had was a lot more approachable than I think it could sound. But I think what drives me forward that helps with that, the bigger game, is I ended up in a lot of trouble as a youth. I ended up in prison twice before I was 17. And I've just lived my life as an expression of possibility for what I think kids in those similar situations can create. So, when I was thinking of doing triathlon and I was training with my buddies, we were just running, and, I always judged the road bikers because I never wore spandex. I grew up skateboarding, snowboarding. So spandex is not really in my closet. So, it's so funny because I refused to the first time I went road biking with my friends, I borrowed his bike and I was wearing board shorts. I was like gym shorts or something stupid. And so it's just super inefficient, slow, they're crushing me. So I was like, okay, well, I don't want to be slow. I got to get some gear. And then the swimming was just a personal challenge. I just, I was big into boating and stuff. And I just thought, I had a young family, something ever happened. I don't want to feel like I can't support them. I don't know. It was just, the triathlon was kind of a challenge, and it just, everything in my life, I got to watch out because I'm a bit of I go all in. And it went from, I think we did 3 or 4 sprint triathlons year 1 to a half Ironman year 2 to a couple halves and a full year 3 to last year I did again and this is all during COVID, which was nuts. All the races got canceled and we still trained. We still showed up. We hired a person to run the races for us. There was 4 of us. They were like one of the only official not an official Ironman, the brand, but Ironman distance race that happened in Canada because we paid the guy $1,500 to run the chip. And then last year I went back to get the official title by doing Mont Tremblant half and full during the summer. And that was bananas because I'm 6'3", 225 pounds. So I don't look like the rest of the Ironmanners. So
no,
even swimming through the water, I don't swim fast.
You play by your own rules. You're the Happy Gilmore of golf.
I'll show up and I'll get it done. So I did the full distance in 12 hours and 45 minutes, which I felt pretty good about.
I looked up some stats on this. Check this out. This is incredible. 31% of adults worldwide have more confidence based on clear skin. 31, that's almost 1/3 of people. Like, hey, you got clear skin, you're more confident. Get this, better looking people, meaning of just the term, the clear skin as we're putting that with, earn 12% more financially over their lifetime. 12% more? That literally could be millions of dollars. You are investing a lot into the lab, into the science, into the research. It is so far a no-brainer why anybody would use anything else other than OneSkin. Like, is there anything like you can even think of that makes sense? Like, I'm trying to, and I can't. I want to say, out of the kindness of your guys' heart, you are providing for our listeners a special pricing code, which will be in the show notes. So look in the show notes to try out OneSkin for yourself.
Strongly recommend to subscribe to our newsletter. We want to empower everyone because we know that the choices that we are making today will definitely impact how you're are gonna age tomorrow.
All right, so buy back your time. Now, why? Other than obviously the title is phenomenal and everybody wants more time, but yet it seems like the thing that nobody can actually get. How do we take action today? Why should we take action today and get your book, Buy Back Your Time?
Well, I just believe that most entrepreneurs want to wake up and create. So the subtitle of the book is, Get Unstuck, Reclaim Your Freedom, and Build Your Empire. And in my world, empire is a life of unlimited creation that you don't have to retire from, right? That's so good, most businesses fail because they build businesses that they grow to hate, right? Where they could grow, but more growth means attack on their calendar, attack on their personal life, attack on literally just not even doing the thing that they started to do that they wanted to do more of, right? They end up being everybody else does the fun stuff and they do all the not fun stuff. So the premise of the book is essentially the philosophy that if you're doing anything that you could pay somebody else to do for equal or less than your buyback rate, which is a very simple formula I teach in the book, then you're technically working against yourself to grow and or create a life that you love. So people sometimes think it's a productivity book, and it absolutely is, but it's really a first principle about being a better time trader and understanding the value of your time, the auditing of time and energy in your calendar, how to transfer stuff off your plate in a way that makes you feel in control. And I really challenge the beliefs. We talk about the mindset. I have a whole chapter called the 5 Time Assassins. And then also just develop a completely different sequencing of what do you do with that new free time that you've bought back, right? Because I think that's the big idea. It's like, I'm not a 4-hour work week guy. I actually want people to create, feel fulfilled, and at the end of the day, feel used. Like this is not, I don't know. My perspective on life is I want to feel useful. And yeah, I like taking vacation as much as the next person, but I also am very intentional about that time and who I spend it with. So that's the big idea is I think it gives people a roadmap to build something meaningful and interesting in their world, and also in a way that's not going to sacrifice how they're showing up as a friend or a parent or a community member or whatever. I just, you can actually build a great business and not kill yourself in the process. And I just think I can prove that with math and like simple ideas.
Dan, that is phenomenal. One of my favorite books of all time is Die with Zero. And what you are saying here in terms of, hey, you create these great businesses, but you either create them as a prison that holds you into it, or you create them to be able to buy back your time, do bigger things for other people through your creation. And a lot of people fall into that prison. This book, what you are doing, the way you are living is, hey, you can live a life of contentment without being in prison. Dude, I love that. Love that so much. I gotta get this book and read it because I love Die with Zero. So
Bill Perkins' book is actually a perfect complement to Buy Back Your Time will actually be the book to help you build the wealth. And then Die with Zero will be the argument to allocate it properly until the last breath.
That's beautiful. I'm doing the Star Wars. You watch the first three and then like the Anakin Skywalker, however they did that, the three ones that came before. So
the trilogy,
next book, Buy Back Your Time. Dan, how are you continuing to learn and grow? I always love to ask people that are doing great things, what are they doing? What are your secret sauces? Not the, hey, I'm doing a morning routine in a cold shower, but is there anything that you are doing on a daily basis or that you can attribute like, man, this is it. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah. I mean, as I mentioned, I hired Ed this year to coach me through the process of becoming somebody that can influence at a larger scale. You know, I knew the book was coming out and my YouTube channel's picking up a lot of steam and the speaking requests keep coming in. Nice. I'm an operator. So I run 2 8-figure companies, High Speed Ventures, which is my investment company, and then SaaS Academy, which is the largest CEO coaching organization in the world for software CEOs. The way I learn is I just pay for access. You know, I invest in myself. People always, you know, I get asked all the time by kids, you know, through Instagram, and they're like, you know, I got an extra 10 grand. What should I invest it in? You know, like Bitcoin or stock market. I'm like, keep writing checks to yourself until you've got $250,000 in the bank. They're like, what? That doesn't make sense. I go, I know it doesn't make sense to you, but trust me, you need to become the person who can generate that kind of value in the world. And you aren't that person today, because if you were, it'd be in your bank account. So it's not. So to me, I'm just a big fan. I think I have like 4 coaches, you know, in different aspects. I have a wake surfing coach, right? Because I wanted to learn 360s, and I spent 2 years trying to do it myself. I hire a coach, and 3 weeks later, I'm nailing them, and I've got them consistent. So same thing with like my fitness coach and my triathlon coach, and you know, I'm just a big fan of investing in myself. I pay to go to events that you don't get invited to unless you apply. So like, again, I even think just like choosing your rooms is really important, right? Because I think that, you know, growing through osmosis and just like, temperature. So like sometimes I couldn't find the room, so I had to create them myself, and that was scary, but I did it, right? Like pull the people together and like fly to New York and organize a dinner or whatever. But I'm just a big fan of proximity is how I like to grow. Access to people what's funny is sometimes I've paid coaches, and it wasn't even the fact that I was getting coached by them, but it was the investment that I made in myself and the story it told me about me and how I wanted to get ready to get their knowledge. It sounds crazy, but like sometimes just knowing you made a commitment in yourself changes your priorities. And it's not even the time on a call that is impactful. It's the fact that you are going to get on a call and how you show up for that call that actually will have the bigger impact. So those are the big ones that I do.
Dan, I cannot agree with you more. And it is the funniest thing to me when younger kids or anybody says, hey, I can't afford a coach. But then you see them, you know, they're out to dinner buying. Like, it is the one investment that will never fail you. If you invest in yourself, in a coach, in somebody to guide you, it will never fail you. But you know what people don't understand? And I've been blessed to coach some of the best NBA players and coaches, and they all want to be coached. The great ones want to be coached. But the most people get stuck up on this ROI, and they think return on investment is directly correlated with income they see within the next 30 days. I'm sorry, if you think that, you are drastically wrong. Dan is telling you, invest in yourself. Find the people in your space doing great things. Reach out to them. Don't be afraid to reach out to them. Take action. Call them, DM them, and pay them for their time and they will coach you and they will show you the way. Dan, that was a phenomenal answer. Dude.
Well, you did. I just want to double click that you nailed it on the time thing, because your life today is essentially a reflection of your decision 6 to 9 months ago.
Yes.
So if you're trying to correlate ROI from information you learned today in 30 days, it's not realistic. It's actually naive.
Yeah. And you know what? I think it's kind of like a cheat code for people too, because most people will not invest in themselves. And most people will think, well, if I don't get my money back right away, it's not going to work, blah, blah, blah. But if you actually play the long game, if you play the long game in business growth, if you play the long game in relationships, dude, like things I poured into 10 years ago are now starting to grow. The seeds that you sow reap the harvest later in life. But in this microwave age we live in, people don't want to hear that. But more power to us, because they're out of the game and we're in it.
It works.
It works. Stan, how can we find more about what you are teaching, coaching, best places to find the book, everything we can do to stalk you, Dan Martell?
Well, I'm Dan Martell, 2 L's and Martell on all social platforms, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, etc. My favorite is Instagram. My stories is like where I show the behind the scenes of how I live my life so that I can give people a front row seat. And then the book is at buybackyourtime.com, where I've got a free companion workbook. So even though you can go buy it at your bookstore or Amazon or whatever you choose, come back to the site and download the digital workbook so that you can have something to, because it does read, it is a process. It's very researched and story based, but there is some outcomes and exercises you should do with the workbook.
Love it. And anybody listening to this right now, if you're the first in the first 5 to post about this episode, DM me. I will send you a free copy of Buy Back Your Time. It will change your life.
Awesome.
Trust me. Dan,
thanks, David.
The last question I have for you, as we drop the mic and we walk out of here, if you were to give a piece of advice, it can be a phrase, a one word, whatever it might be, to someone who is stuck in their situation, they feel like they can't see out of it, what would you tell them to be able to take that first step towards taking action and going for what they want, their dreams, and to do it?
I would tell them that whatever they seek, they should help others get. And by doing that, they'll help themselves. And it sounds crazy, but I learned at 17 when I got sober that the best way for me to stay sober was to help other people. If I want wealth or success, I just got to help other people be successful. If I want health, it sounds bananas. People are like, I'm 100 pounds overweight. What are you talking about? It's like, go find a few friends that you think could get value from your support and offer to walk with them or go to the gym with them. And I just think it's just this beautiful process that people sometimes underestimate.
It's spot on. It's like the best way to learn something is to teach somebody else. So the best way to actually take action on something is to go serve somebody and do it with somebody. Great answer, Dan. You crushed this podcast. Thank you so much for your time. I'm looking forward to personally reading your book. Hopefully listening. Is it out on audiobook? I'm not the biggest book reader.
It is, and I read it, and I wanted to add bonus chapters addressing the top ways people mess up what I just taught. So it's actually a pretty fun audio listen.
Oh, Dan, I am on that. And respect for reading it. How hard is it to read your own writing in an audiobook? I feel you, brother.
You'll hear it. You'll hear it because I actually had the flu and I still read it. And so the bonus chapter has a different Dan, which I was going to get fixed, but everybody says it adds to the dynamic aspect of it. So I'll leave it there.
Good, man. Bonus chapters while you're coughing up a lung.
There you go.
Baby. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate you.
This is awesome. Thanks, David.
Okay, so if you enjoyed that podcast, check this out. What I do is I give keynote talks to companies, corporations, organizations, teams all throughout the country and the entire world. If you want me to come speak to your team, to your company, or know somebody who might, reach out to me, please. I'm very easy to get a hold of, david@davidnurse.com. And I'm also doing some super special gives with my new book, Do It, The Life-Changing Power of Taking Action, coming out April 4th. Message me because I'm doing some gives for free talks, for free coaching courses even an amazing NBA tickets experience at Los Angeles gourmet food, Michelin star celebrities type of thing for people who buy a certain amount of books. So please check this all out. Reach out to me if you're interested in a keynote talk or to know more about the book giveaways that I'm doing. April 4th is the launch. Thank you so much.